Hold on to your sniffles and swear words. It's time to look back on one of gaming's earliest icons, Q Bert.
Q Berts!
Jump on squares to change the target color, and basically, yeah, it's just change everything to your, to the blocks that you aim.
Ow! Mother.
And avoid all of the hazards.
So, you might find it surprising that for, this is actually going to be sort of a, collection of, Q Bert games, because honestly, you can't really do a look at just one Q Bert game, because they're mostly one and the same, sort of.
Yeah.
Now, you may find it weird that I'm using the NES version of Q Bert to showcase the first game and not so much the arcade version, but the funny thing is, I can't find a good enough version of the, arcade original to really utilize, so I just went with the next best thing, which is the NES version that Konami surprisingly made.
Well, to be fair, the NES is for the most part pretty good about their arcade ports.
But now, did Konami actually make the Q Bert game?
Oh God, no. They just handled this this updated version of the game that came out years later. The original developers of Q Bert. Well, you know what? I don't exactly remember the original creators per se. I'll look them up real quick. But I do recognize someone who actually, published those games back in the day. Atari.
Oh, also all this isometric stuff is starting to make my head hurt.
Aww.
Yeah, well, that's pretty much the name of the game. As Q Bert, you can only move in 4 directions. You have to pretty much color every single...
Oh.
Yeah, so for those of you that don't like isometric gameplay like our good friend Allie, you know who to send your blame to.
Ha.
Or you know what? No, not. You know what? My bad. It wasn't Atari I was thinking of. It was that one pinball company, Gottlieb.
Gottlieb?
Mm-hmm.
No, I don't. Do you?
Ha.
Whoa!
Oh no!
But yeah, Q Bert is pretty much an old-fashioned 80s icon who sort of was like the next big Pac-Man for a little while, up until, his time kind of came and went rather suddenly at that.
Mm-hmm.
And naturally, what you want to do is, while going through these boxes, avoid the enemies, don't drop down pets and whatnot. But of course, that's only one version of Q Bert to look out for, because sometime later there was also a version for the Super Nintendo.
Q Bert 3. Well, what was Q Bert 2?
I think Q Bert 2 might have been either, it was like, I remember the sequel was like some sort of offshoot involving like very far out cubes. I think it was called Q Bert's Quest or Q Bert's Cubes or something like that. Q Bert's whole history is sort of odd in a sense, because like at first, he had his original game, then he sort of tried to brand off into separate things, kind of like Pac-Man did for a short while, and then he wouldn't really go back to what he knew best until like years later. And, here's the result of one of them.
I mean, you could argue that Tetris is the same way, so I'm fine with having that be the case. It's the formula that just needs to... It's just the formula that needs to, like, remain constant. So, yeah, so then in terms of, like, Q Bert in pop culture, he kind of fell under the radar for a long while until stuff like Pixels and Wreck-It Ralph.
Well, most especially... Yeah, I think a lot of us here can say that we didn't really get to see the poor boy back in action until, he got unplugged, for lack of a better word, Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah.
Poor Q Bert.
Also, so sorry, I have a cold as we're recording this.
Yeah. So don't mind any sniffles you hear from him. I'm gonna be honest, it's kind of funny because...
Oh, are you kidding me?
Wow. Because I was about to say, I was aware of Q Bert for a good while, because I remember when one time I went over to visit my dad, he actually had, I don't know if it was either like a PlayStation Store version of it, or if it was just an emulator, but he did have the original Q Bert on there, and we played a couple of rounds of it together.
Wow.
That's good to hear.
Like, was Q Bert ever on the PS Store or whatnot?
I don't know if it was ever on the PS Store per se, but I know he had a game on the PlayStation. I mean, that particular version of Q Bert is probably my first major exposure to the character.
Actually, now that I think about it, that might be the version that he and I played too.
Well, I will be showing off that particular version later, because, Q Bert 3, it's basically the same game, but god is it trippy.
I can tell by the background. I mean, look at this thing.
Yeah.
Okay, actually, don't look at it, otherwise you'll get dizzy.
I was gonna say, it looks like they hired the... go ahead, Hype.
I was about to say, I feel like the phrase, "it's just like the first game," is gonna be a common phrase throughout this entire video.
I mean, it was kind of one of those, like, Q Bert is one of those, like...
Wait, what just... Oh.
Q Bert seems like one of those epitome... Oh, jeez, he just couldn't take it anymore. Q Bert seems like one of those, like, epitome, like, don't change what wasn't broke kind of things.
Yeah.
Pretty much.
But, I was gonna say, yeah, it looks like they definitely hired the people who did the Earthbound battle backgrounds for this.
You know what? I wouldn't really be surprised if that were the case, because
Hey,
these do look about as trippy as
trying
well.
to-
Oh,
That
that's
guy's
not
messing up your
fair.
progress.
Nuts.
And that's the end of Q Bert 3.
Whoa,
Oh, great.
that's actually...
You got game over. Now we gotta fight Pokey all over again.
I can't even look at that screen. It's too trippy.
I was gonna say, that's some impressive 3D for SNES.
It's pre-rendered.
I'll say.
Oh.
Well, I mean, even so, like pre-rendered graphics from back then were still pretty state of the art. I mean, look back at Donkey Kong Country and how much of a buzz that made in the media.
Mm-hmm.
WTF?
Oh, that does make me wonder...
Yes!
There
I
you
was about
go.
to say, you mentioned Donkey Kong Country. That does remind me of something I did want to talk about, but I guess I can wait till a little later when we run out of things to talk about with Q Bert here. And onto the PS2 one version.
Alright.
Yep. Again, this is pretty much the game that got me introduced to the character himself. And okay, when I was thinking of Atari, yes, I was thinking of this particular version because they were the ones that published it.
Got it.
Ah, okay.
Are they the ones that currently own the copyright for them?
I don't think so. No,
We'll
Sony
have to-
does,
yeah,
because
we'll have
Atari's more or less dead now.
Right.
Yeah.
You're gonna have to wait until we see the, you're gonna have to wait until we see the iOS to see who currently owns the copyright.
So yeah, welcome to the wonderfully 90s world of Q Bert.
I can see that.
You know, I'm not gonna lie. There's something about like HCGI like this that I can't help but be charmed by.
Yeah. Oh,
It was just one of those things where they really wanted to try what they could with it, even if it did sort of borderline Uncanny Valley.
what 90s is this?
Trippy 90s, that's what it is.
A kind of 90s that literally destroys the world as we know it.
Jeez. This escalated very quickly.
Yeah, seriously, this is kind of a messed up way to go.
It's kind of like Gex levels of escalation, like in terms of like you saw how
No.
that escalated.
Oh, jeez.
Oh, it's on.
I gotta go save my girlfriend.
It's Hubert.
It sounded like you said I gotta go shave my girlfriend. Not
What?
save.
It's on like Q-Bong.
You know what? It's like we've never seen Q-Berts with hair, so they might shave regularly.
Funny, because in Q Bert 3, it looked like he had a little tuft of hair up top, but I guess he shaved it for the sake of the 3D space.
I guess so.
So yeah, the 3D version of Q Bert. Well, this, I mean, the version I was most familiar with was on the PC, and well, it not only does it have an epic adventure mode, but for those that want to play the classics, it has that too.
Oh, okay.
I was gonna say, how does an adventure story mode work?
Yes.
We'll get to that momentarily, but I figured just since to give you guys a better look on how the actual Q Bert used to look back in the arcade days, despite a few inconsistencies here and there.
Whoa.
There you go.
That's nice that they kept that consistent.
Yeah. And the cool part is that not only do you have the original arcade graphics, there's also a 3D version.
Ah,
I'm not sure if I dig these 2D graphics all that much.
stop
He found it
Don't.
so devil damn boring, he committed suicide.
Every time with that Q-Bert.
Anyway, let's switch to 3D, and there you
Oh,
go.
that looks better.
It, kind of looks silly.
Kind of does, doesn't it?
A little.
Look at him.
I was about to say, like, I think if you're expecting anything beyond silly with something like this, you're playing the wrong game.
Look at that. Do you think you would would you trust that creature to be in charge of a formal dinner party? I don't think so.
Which one?
I mean, look at that schnoz. Looks like he's probably coming down. Honestly, God forbid if he ever came down with a cult.
Yeah. Don't mind that hammering. My stepdad's doing something in the den.
Oh, okay.
Are you playing Q-Bert?
Yes, you play Gilbert.
You better not be playing Q-Bert in there. I've seen the kind of language that alien spurts.
He's an enabler. Next thing you know, you're gonna be hooked on the drugs because of Q-Bert.
Man. Seeing everything like blocks and hopping up and down the steps all willy-nilly. So yeah, so James, you said this was your first exposure to Q Bert?
Pretty much, and yeah, enough of the boring 2D stuff that we already know and love. Let's actually try the adventure mode for a change, because,
Okay.
like, with the adventure mode in this game, they try to play things up a little more expansively, for lack of a better word. Like, it's still the same gameplay, they just, it's not the same old pyramid shape that you've come to know with the character.
Let's see that
I
again.
see.
Whoa. Oh, it's a shield.
Yep, because, you know, a game like this, and considering you have literally no other...
Time
Hello.
stop.
There you go.
Right there. Nuts. Well, that was an interesting way to show off a bunch of mechanics.
Yeah.
I can appreciate stuff like that. Anyway, let's follow this little goober and see where he leads us.
So looking at it, it looks like... Oh. Okay,
Change
there we go.
to-
Okay. Change to green. Okay.
Shape of Q Bert.
Okay, so okay, I was gonna say, like, I don't know. So they do encourage you to clear all the squares in order to access the portal.
Yep.
Well, you kind of have no choice, because if you don't fill up all the squares, you can't progress.
Right, right.
One thing to make note of, though... God, that Naki's gonna drive me nuts. Anyway,
I can't. It's something out of my control. I'm sorry.
It's okay.
I know, but still. Anyway,
level
what was I
select.
trying to say? One thing to take note, though, is that, be mindful of the perspective of each puzzle, because, you know, they really want to taunt the 3D nature of Q Bert. Or at least this remake of Q Bert, so sometimes it'll...
Oh, jeez.
Ah!
Oh, the platforms are falling.
Some platforms do fall, yes.
Jeez.
Okay, shield time.
Okay.
Or is that just something you hold on to until you need it?
Yeah, it's something you hold on to until you press a certain button to activate it.
Okay.
Oh, okay.
So, Hype, was this the one that you said that you and your folks had played?
I think he muted himself on account of his folks hammering.
That is fair.
Yeah.
So, do we learn anything about this wizard Q Bert?
That he's just one of Q Bert's 4 friends that he has to constantly follow.
Ow!
All the time.
It's always follow this, Kurt Perry. Follow this one. Follow that one. Fall down this freaking block.
I can see how this could be a little disorienting, especially when like blocks are lining away from the camera.
It should also be mentioned, ladies and gentlemen, that unless I'm mistaken, Q Bert does not support excuse me, not Joy-Cons. This is a Switch. It doesn't support full analog. It's strictly with a D-pad.
I mean, that's so.
okay.
How does that? So, and I noticed on the control screen, so you have to push 2 directions at the same time every time in order to go diagonally.
It depends. Like, I think there's one option where it can be like that, or another option where it's like, imagine if like you could just press up, down, left, or right, or whatever, but you have to take into account like which direction that will lead Q Bert in this isometric labyrinth.
I mean, that's fair. Like, so it's almost kind of like tank controls, maybe.
I wouldn't outright call it tank controls. It's just more so. What's the best way of putting it? It's like, again, it's literally it's like an isometric platformer.
Okay. I mean, like, because I get the idea of like if you were to press up at this exact moment, you would head up in a direction that Q Bert is facing.
Oh wait, I gotta finish up these blocks. Okay, I see what your game is here.
There you go.
Also, I looked into it. The reason that there's been quite a bit of knocking is that at the time of us recording, we just finished some renovations on the floor in our living room, and he's just putting the finishing touches on it.
Alright,
Ah,
and
okay.
now, ladies and gentlemen, the main reason I wanted to do this look at is because of the most recent version of Q Bert, which was released on mobile, and thanks to Logan for recording this for me, because, you know...
iPad
recording is kind of complicated.
It
Yeah.
kind of is.
It took me a while to figure out like the best strategy of doing it. But anyway, yeah, welcome to Q Bert on iOS.
This looks cute.
Yeah, the most recent version of Q Bert that's currently out, and I think is still available on the shop right now. Logan, you take it from here.
So yeah, this and as we saw there from that intro splash screen, we now know that Sony Television or whatever, Sony owns the rights on this. Also, the way this whole game sets everything up, it's very like immediate. Like, it definitely harkens back to the arcade visuals and stuff. You always go right back to the main menu screen every single time. Also, this game is free and very heavily like ad revenue, like advertisements everywhere in this game.
Yeah.
So,
Makes sense.
So what you're saying is at some point we're gonna start seeing Flo from insurance pop up?
No, I cut all that out, but just know that that happens literally at the end of every single level.
I believe it.
15 to 30-second ad after every single level. It kind of got to me a little bit,
It's fine.
especially after, just to get this out there, especially after one particular ad messed up the iPad recording, which is why, unfortunately, as James can recall, my video is only half as long as I'd actually originally recorded it.
Well, it's just fair. I mean, honestly, it was enough. It was all the footage I needed anyway. But
You will buy a product and you will like it.
I mean, honestly, I would definitely honestly, if you like this kind of game, I would definitely recommend just paying for the option to disable ads entirely.
Yeah.
Okay,
I
maybe
think
not
so.
entirely, because there's still the matter of, like, if you want this special deal, which you do need to play an ad in order to do, but even so, it's like, just going from level to level, I mean, honestly, like, this game's pretty inexpensive if you go that route.
And again, I think it's definitely the kind of thing where, yes, as Hype already jokingly talked about, it's definitely something where if you liked Q Bert, if you like the original Q Bert, you're gonna like this. It's just like the original Q Bert.
Or if you've never had a chance to try Q Bert before, but was always curious, I would definitely say this is the best place to start because, well, first of all, like, the graphics for this game honestly look like something straight out of, like something that either WayForward or Nitro would have made.
Right.
And secondly, there's actually a whole bunch of customization options for Q Bert.
Oh yeah, and I think I'll be showing that off a little bit here. That's what all
That's
the
a pretty
points are
catchy
for.
soundtrack too, from what I can hear.
Oh yeah, the song itself is nice, even though it's like I think one of only 2 or 3 songs that play in total.
Oh well.
Yeah.
It's a game I can definitely recommend playing in short spurts.
Super bonus.
Let's see what our super bonus is. More coins. I'll take it.
Ah, boy.
It is what it is.
Yeah.
You,
By the way, that Q Bert icon actually gives you a special costume if you actually get it.
Okay.
if you'd like more of these coins, you could always buy more. No.
No.
But yeah, that being said, for what is here, I think it's okay. I think it's fine. It was fun for me to get back into playing Q Bert after having, not played it for so long. I think I don't know if it would be enough to say that.
Ah,
Fresh Bert.
Fresh Bert.
Fresh Bert.
I don't know if it. Oh, okay, let's look at all the different Fresh Berts. Yeah, I got Fresh Bert, and then let's look at the ones that I can pay for. I can
There's a
afford
Sherbert?
one Q Bert. I want. Nuts! Tap one I did not mean to tap.
Don't go
Whoops.
doing that.
Can't go overcharging. I'll get
Blue
Blue Bert.
Blue Bert.
Let's go, Blue Bert.
Because nothing beats a Blue Bert.
And you can go, and you don't have to go, and you don't have to do what I was doing, where I was going to.
And with that one bit of swearing, Q Bert was officially canceled.
Because what happens is that when I click the ad, because I didn't want to pay the 25 coins because I had none, that is when it played an ad that my iPad audio thing did not like. Ever since this recording, I have now created a brand new method of recording audio, which ensures that nothing bad happens, which is great. I like the method I did, but lessons were learned. Thank you, Q Bert.
So yeah, on that though, ladies and gentlemen, that's it for our look at on, well, Q Bert as a concept and a character and all of the multiple types of Q Berts there are in the gaming industry. And, well, I know there's plenty that we'd still miss, but at the same time, we all know what we came here for, and I hope you all didn't feel like this was a total waste of time.
No, it's fine.
Yeah, it
On
was
that
good.
note, folks, off and see you later.
Wow.
What?
Language.
You, James. I'm going home.
Q Bert for Smash?